Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Vortex, where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. I'm Michael Voris. With the Democratic National Convention now blessedly come and gone, which was more like a once every 4-year meeting of the Soviet Politburo, we can now look at all things official from the party of death. The Communist Democrats did the main thing they actually gathered virtually to do, to nominate fake Catholic Biden as their man. But I also tossed in a fake African-American Kamala Harris just to keep the theme of fake going. She ain't African-American, and she knows nothing of the experience of Black America. But Harris isn't the focus today. Biden and his fellow commies are. There's no way any Catholic can vote for this ticket, die unrepentant of it, and escape hell. To lend your support to these enemies of Christ is to cut yourself off from him and therefore eternal salvation. Biden and the Dems hate religion for starters. They pay a tiny bit of lip service to it, but in practice would completely nullify it in the process of overturning every right protected by the Constitution. For example, the 2020 party platform says religious freedom is a, quote, fundamental human right. Sounds good, right? Read on. It's a right that, however, cannot be used as a cover for discrimination. There you have it. Your religion is fine as long as you don't try to actually practice it. In 1993, sensing communist creep closing in on religion, the U.S. passed RFRA, R-F-R-A, the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. It's been successful in preventing government from forcing individuals and groups to violate their consciences over morally objectionable laws and regulations. So, an adoption agency run by the church is free to uphold its religious beliefs, for example, and not give children to homosexual couples for adoption. It's a federal law. If a gay couple wants a child, well, there are plenty of other agencies they can go to. RFRA, because it backs religious convictions, has been high on the target list for the Communist Democrats ever since. Last year, Kamala Harris introduced a bill in the U.S. Senate to gut RFRA and force religious-minded people to go along with immoral laws and practices or pay the price. The bill lost because the commies don't have control of the Senate. That's the only reason. The entire Communist Democratic Party has adopted an anti-God platform and specifically an anti-Christian, or more acutely said, anti-Christ platform. Yep, the 2020 Democratic Party is anti-Christ, which makes Joe Biden, their leader, a fake Catholic waging war against Christ. Jesus Christ is the truth. Personally, he said it of himself, I am the way, the truth, and the life. The truth. Not some truth, not a person who says the truth, but truth itself. When he stood before Joe Biden's spiritual ancestor, Pontius Pilate, he said, anyone who hears the truth hears my voice. When Christ speaks, it is truth speaking, truth in vocal resonance. It's not what he says, but that he says it. Whatever it is he says. Since he is truth, nothing can come from his mouth other than truth. There is nothing in the Communist Party platform other than lies, that which is opposed to the truth. Forcing consciences, mauling and murdering children in the womb, destroying families, eradicating the human spirit, the enslavement of labor, the glorification of unbridled sex, the celebration of perversion. Everything this party supports is opposed to the divine, no matter how many homosexualist priests sashay onto center stage to pretend otherwise. Biden better hope, for the sake of his salvation, that the dementia is deep and has been around for a while. He long ago entered into a pact with the diabolical where he exchanged his soul for political power. That much is obvious. The circumstances of the pact are unimportant. Only the consequences are worth considering. Biden hates Christ because he hates the truth. And what's worse, he pretends otherwise. At least the likes of Soros don't pretend. But then again, Soros and company don't need to deceive people in order to secure their votes. In many ways, Biden is little else than the extension of a failed Catholic Church, the hierarchy that sold its soul decades ago in exchange for mostly homosexual lust, but also a lot of power and money. As the expression goes, garbage in, garbage out. What other type of Catholic would these monstrous men in mitres be capable of producing other than a Biden, an enemy of Christ? They long ago set themselves up as his enemy, and now affairs are simply playing out to their logical conclusion. Biden learned to become an enemy of Christ at the feet of so many bishops and clerics who had already perfected the practice. Many of those men are now dead, and Biden is close. Maybe, somehow, all those perverted bishops and priests, perverted in 1,000 different ways, maybe, as Bishop Barron assures us, they were all saved. After having lied to, deceived, raped, robbed, pillaged tens of millions of souls for their careers, they each suddenly had a deathbed conversion. We can certainly desire that, but there is no reasonable hope of it because reasonable hope is based on a reason. And just what would that reason be? Christ would want them to be saved, of course, but the reality is many of them would not want to be saved. They would have cut themselves off from salvation, locked in their sin, and unable to cooperate with whatever graces they may have received even on their deathbeds. God cannot force himself on a soul, forcing them to go against their conscience. That's what communist Democrats do. You know, the enemies of Christ, the ones who hate him, like their 2020 nominee. God love you. I'm Michael Voris.